The 2024 race for the White House ramps up. I'm Natalie Brand with a look at where President Biden is taking his message and the big shakeup at the RNC.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Exactly 2 years have passed since the fatal shootings of 2 Joplin police officers. Now the brother of one of those fallen heroes has a message for all of us. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The date was March 8, 2022, when Officer Jake Reed and Corporal Ben Cooper were shot in the line of duty by a gunman in the parking lot of Joplin's North Park Crossing. Their injuries would prove fatal. The gunman was killed in a shootout with other officers. Sam Reed, Jake Reed's younger brother, still feels the void since Reed's passing. As a filmmaker, Sam wanted to honor his brother and show his mourning through a camera's lens, so he made a documentary.
I'm not trying to make any statement about being a cop or what that's like. It's just a personal story about brotherhood and grieving and figuring out how to survive without someone, because a lot of people don't know what that's like until it hits them.
You can see Sam Reed's short 8-minute film titled In the Morning on Sunday at the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. It's one of several short films on various topics that will be shown a number of times from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you're looking for a later showing, those films will be at Route 66 Theater in Webb City from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. again on Sunday. The Newton County, Missouri Sheriff announces his retirement. Sheriff Chris Jennings this morning announced he will not seek re-election when his current term is up. Jennings has spent 44 years in law enforcement, including 32 at the Newton County Sheriff's Office. This is his second term as sheriff. He says health concerns are the driving force behind the decision. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, we had the strong to severe thunderstorms for us last night. Thunderstorms lasting into the morning hours and then kind of on and off showers for us today. 57 was our high, and that was a midnight high. We've been sitting mainly into lower 50s since that point in time. But this is right where we should be for this time of the year. Let's go outside. It's only 44 in Joplin, 42 in Pittsburgh. We do still have some drizzle. Some of the roads are wet, so be careful if you're going to be out tonight. Look at Iola, 36 degrees, 39 in Yates Center. So that cooler air is working in. It's going to settle in as we head into the weekend. We have these northerly winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So for your evening, some light showers, especially along and south of the I-44 corridor. We are going to clear out for the weekend. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you soon. The Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed the Wyandot Nation reservation. That means the tribal nation now can exercise its territorial jurisdiction over its lands and people. While the Wyandot Nation says they knew the reservation was not disestablished, they were glad to see the court recognizing that. The reservation area is about 20,000 acres.
One of the things that's really important to a community is basically protecting and making sure that we protect the community, and with that is the police protection that we can provide and the safety we can provide for the citizens who live on the reservation.
Before, most of our law enforcement efforts were kind of centered around our developed area up here, the casino, the housing districts, the truck stop, the town, kind of hyper-focused in this area. Now our attention has to extend to the entire range of the reservation.
The reservation status brings law enforcement services obligations to the tribal nation. Since 2020, various reservations in Oklahoma have been reaffirmed after the Supreme Court's decision in McGirt versus Oklahoma. Today is International Women's Day, which acknowledges the many accomplishments of women. This includes social, political, and economic impacts. We asked some Pitt State students for their thoughts on recognizing women.
We need to be recognized for everything that's happened for women, and to be able to show that internationally is awesome, because there's women in other countries that are treated like how we were treated in later centuries, and so to be able to be recognized that across the board is very empowering.
We're going to hear from more students at 6. International Women's Day is celebrated during Women's History Month, which takes place every March. Demonstrations for International Women's Day happened all around the globe. Crowds of women clashed with police in the Philippines, demanding an end to sexual harassment in that country. Many women in France are celebrating this International Women's Day as that country becomes the first in the world to guarantee the right to abortion in its constitution. This week, the general election campaign kicked off in earnest, with President Biden traveling to a key battleground state this afternoon. This comes as former President Trump is completing a takeover of the Republican establishment. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
President Biden is taking his 2024 message on the road, speaking tonight in Pennsylvania, one of the states that decided the last presidential election.
Will you commit to a debate with former President Trump? It depends on his behavior.
Thursday night, the president delivered a fiery State of the Union address, previewing the campaign ahead.
Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today.
Without using his name, he referenced his likely 2024 challenger more than a dozen times, warning of threats at home and abroad.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote.
The current president and former will both hold dueling rallies in Georgia, another battleground state, on Saturday, ahead of the state's primary on Tuesday. Next week, former President Trump is poised to officially win the delegates needed to clinch the GOP nomination.
I'm stepping aside today.
Friday, Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel stepped down, paving the way for Trump loyalists, including his daughter-in-law, to be elected.
Winning the White House back is just too important for me to do otherwise. President Trump deserves to have the team he wants in place at the RNC.
The new leaders will try to close the significant fundraising gap. Records from February show the Biden campaign and DNC have roughly double the cash on hand compared to Trump's team and the RNC. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The Biden campaign confirmed it raised more in the 2 hours during the State of the Union speech last night than it had during any 2-hour period since launching his campaign last April. Still ahead, a push to save our sleep.
Daylight saving time can take a toll on your health. I'm Michael George with why some sleep doctors say it's time to end daylight saving.
Plus, the Ozark Center's Eating Disorder Clinic in Joplin receives recognition by a state organization. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, a Missouri-based organization is recognizing the hard work of a Joplin eating disorder clinic. The clinic's name is Reconnect. It's part of Freeman Health System's Ozark Center. It helps local residents of all ages manage and heal from eating disorders. Service has earned them the status of being named a Center of Excellence by the Missouri Eating Disorders Council.
The biggest part why it's so hard to get help is the stigma of around eating disorders, and talking about it and just creating a conversation creates space for people to come forward and get help.
Reconnect is just one of 2 eating disorder clinics to receive this distinction in Missouri. As we prepare to spring forward this Sunday with the start of daylight saving time, sleep experts are again calling for an end to seasonal time changes. Michael George has more on why ditching daylight saving time could be better for your health and safety.
Isabel Datis isn't thrilled about turning the clocks forward and losing an hour.
Does it mess with your sleep schedule?
It does mess with my sleep. Like, I go to sleep later and I wake up later, so I'm usually late.
With more and more research suggesting daylight saving time can have dangerous and serious effects on health and safety, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine is advocating for year-round standard time.
One, it removes the switching of our circadian rhythms twice a year, which is very difficult for our bodies to adjust to. And number 2, standard time is aligned with our biological clock. There's bright light in the morning and less light in the evening.
Dr. Jocelyn Chang says when we're exposed to less light in the morning, it makes it more difficult for us to wake up, and more light in the evening makes it more difficult to fall asleep. The AASM cites research showing the springtime change can lead to increased risk of motor vehicle accidents, medical errors, heart attacks, and strokes and mood disturbances.
But some lawmakers want to instead make daylight saving time permanent.
The Sunshine Protection Act would mean longer dark mornings.
I love it being brighter when I wake up because I'm a school teacher, so when I wake up I don't like it being dark because I have to get my kids to school and I'm dropping them off and it's dark.
As we adjust to daylight saving time, experts advise
When you wake up in the morning, make sure that you're exposed to bright light. Sunlight's ideal, but any bright light at all is better than none.
that bright light will help set your internal clock to the new time and help manage your sleep and alertness. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Sleep experts say the time change is also a good time to revisit good sleep hygiene, which includes going to bed and waking up at consistent times every day and turning off devices at least 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. The change to daylight saving time renews concerns for parents already worried about how much sleep their children get. New research published in JAMA Pediatrics shows more than 18% of children ages 5 to 9 are being given melatonin by their parents to help them go to bed. More than 19% of adolescents take it as well. Dr. Celine Gounder recommends parents be cautious with it as it's not FDA regulated. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the job market and overall economy.
The job market may be moderating and some companies are letting workers go. I'm Bradley Blackburn with how the results of a new report could impact inflation.
Plus, we still have some showers sticking around this evening. Those details coming up. Well, of course, it turned out to be kind of a gloomy day for us today. Showers, thunderstorms last night into the morning hours and then on and off. Very light showers for us today. Only 1/100th of an inch of rain officially at the Joplin Airport. But for the month, doing pretty good. We're over an inch, which was mainly this past storm system for the year, 4.5 inches. We are just a little bit below, but at least we're hanging in there as we go through the spring months. All right, it's gloomy outside. Here's a nice shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Cooler air is filtering in. 42 Parsons, 43 in Miami. Anderson, Bentonville sitting upper 40s to lower 50s. Lamar checking in at 45. We do have some light showers and drizzle across the region. It's 44. It's windy. North winds at 17. Gusts upwards of about 22 miles per hour, and it is going to stay breezy as we go through the evening into the overnight hours for us tonight. Those northerly winds kind of ushering in that cooler air. Temperatures kind of hanging into lower 40s. We are going to have some showers, but most of the showers are going to be along and south of I-44. Look at all the rain, thunderstorms last night, had the severe weather, and then just kind of cloudy and gloomy for us today, but you can see some showers, a rumble of thunder or two in northeastern parts of Oklahoma, but these are going to drive east. So they're not really going to get into Kansas. They're going to kind of clip the southern half of Joplin. So Neosho, Pineville, Bentonville, Cassville, Monette. You guys are the areas that will pick up some additional rain as we go through the overnight hours. But look at the heavy rain that we've seen over the past 36 hours. Anywhere you see the orange, we are talking 4, 5, 6 inches of rain. So a lot of areas picked up some much needed rainfall across the region. Here's the upper level low. So as it passes by, we'll clear out and we look pretty good as we go through the overnight hours tonight. And then we get a dry out for a few days. Let me walk you through time. So let's go through the evening. Light showers, mainly along and south of I-44. There could even be a couple little snowflakes that try to mix in. Here's 1 a.m. showers in our southern counties, and then gone. Look at the snow mixing in by the time we head into tomorrow morning. Sunshine returns, just chilly. Look at this, only mid 40s by noon. By the afternoon, high temps only 50, 51 degrees. So it is going to be chilly on your Saturday. Cold tomorrow night. We back down near freezing for an overnight low, but we get southerly winds on Sunday. And this is going to help us warm back up right around 60 degrees, which is definitely going to be nice. All right, 51 tomorrow, up to 61 on Sunday. We are going to have a freeze tomorrow night. We're going to have several more freezes before we get out of that stage. But overall, looking pretty good for the weekend, and we needed the rain. 51 tomorrow, 61 on Sunday. Of course, the clocks, as we were just discussing, they move forward Saturday night. So the sun won't set until after 7 o'clock, which is going to be pretty nice.
Yes, I understand the arguments for and against, but gosh, I like daylight saving time.
I do too. I do.
Coming up, Sargento Cheeses adds more products to its ongoing recall over listeria concerns. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a new report shows the job market remains strong, but there are signs employment could be slowing down. Bradley Blackburn has a look at who's hiring and who's letting workers go.
Restaurants continued to bring on thousands of workers in February. So did the healthcare industry, and construction companies were hiring too. Overall, the economy added a better than expected 275,000 jobs, a strong number. But the big gains seen in December and January were revised down significantly. And the unemployment rate ticked up from 3.7 to 3.9%.
With the revisions lower, we're still in a solid job market, but we could see the beginning this year of a more pronounced slowdown. Nothing drastic, but more pronounced.
Cutbacks could weigh on that slowdown. Last month, a number of high-profile corporations announced layoffs, and a report shows overall there were more than 84,000 planned job cuts, the highest February total since 2009. Economists believe the job market is now moderating, and that is welcome news for the Federal Reserve. Fewer jobs often create a slower economy and lower prices. The Fed has been trying to bring down inflation with higher interest rates. The board meets later this month and is expected to leave rates at current 20-year highs. But on Wednesday, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell signaled cuts could eventually be coming.
If the economy evolves broadly as expected, it will likely be appropriate to begin dialing back policy restraint at some point this year.
Many analysts think that rate drop could happen in June if inflation keeps moving lower. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
The unemployment rate has stayed under 4% for 25 straight months. That's the longest streak since the 1960s. Sargento Foods has recalled shredded cheese distributed across 15 states due to listeria contamination concerns. The Wisconsin cheesemaker started the ongoing recall on February 5th. It covers roughly 10,500 cases of shredded cheese with best buy dates from February to July of 2024. Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman goes on the road to Arkansas, where residents are now stopping what they're doing to give a local icon a ride to work. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more from members of the Wyandotte Nation on the affirmation of the existence of their reservation. Plus, junior high students in Carthage keep a unique culinary tradition at the school alive. And Pitt State and Missouri Southern women's basketball go head-to-head for the third time this season, this time in the MIAA tournament. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. We've been reminding you that we do spring forward this weekend. We'll be losing an hour of sleep, gaining more evening daylight. Well, the time change was first proposed by an astronomer in New Zealand in the 1890s who wanted more daylight in the spring and the fall and the evening hours. Germany and the UK began using it during World War I as a way to save fuel. The US got on board during World War II, but some areas have ditched it since then. So now you're all caught up on why we have daylight saving time, I guess.
Well, and we still have it, so we're moving into it this weekend, of course. We are going to get the sunshine back tomorrow. It is going to be chilly, a high temp of only 51, but back to 61 by Sunday.
Sounds pretty good. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.